Hi, how are you doing? Good, thank you. Come on in, take a seat. Go ahead and log into your computer. So I'm told that someone from Study Abroad will be here later. Hopefully he'll be able to find us. But if he is arriving later, we'll go ahead and get started with our work for today. I plan to finish lab 1 with everyone today, so you can submit that. And then if we have time, we'll get started on 1 or 2 on the other. So it should be about like 10 exercises today. It's not too bad, at least. Okay, so we need to be on Canvas. We need to open up lab 1. And if you want to download your notes, you can. It's located here. Okay. I will talk a little bit about the notes. Hold on 1 second. Let me mute this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, thanks for coming back. Today we are gonna continue with our lab 1, which is located in Canvas here. I had posted the video from yesterday. I linked it, I put it on YouTube also, and then link it back to our assignment page and our video page. Hi. And if you need a USB, there's some USB up front so you can save your work. So when we save our files today, make sure that you browse to your USB device. I can show you how you can do that. Okay. So where we left off yesterday on the notes, where we worked a little bit with string and in Python for today, just remember that we are going to use our Tawny. So you can search. So Windows environment and all the new OSs, you can search for any app, right, through the Windows search bar. If the app is installed, you can see it's shown under the best match here. And so this is the application that we would use to write and run our program. We talked about that yesterday, right? Okay. So you will be using Tawny, and at home you don't have it, so you can go to tawny.org and you can download and install. It's a very small file. So we left off yesterday talking about string. We work with strings. So whenever that you're using a string, you got to make sure that you put it in a single quotation mark or a double quotation mark. We will use a little bit more of the string when we do the methods specifically for string. Okay. And yesterday we talked about using different data types. So you saw how we can use integer for whole number when we parse the values, right? And that can be positive or negative. You also saw that we can use decimal, and in programming, we call this float. So we can control precision or the decimal points using float. And I'm looking at notes from unit 1 or week 1. Sometime you will see that there will be long. When you have a very large number, like I'm talking maybe millions or trillions, or a very lengthy number like this, okay, or even longer, in Python, it's indicated with an L for long value, okay? Now, there are complex number. When you see this, that's usually with the J. That's normally with mathematical equations. And so you can convert numbers to different types because the machine doesn't know. It automatically detects based on how you assign the value. but you can force it to parse it to any type that you wish, right? Depending on the operation we're looking for. So today you're going to see that we are going to see a result in Boolean, which is true or false, right? If something is true, then it's going to output true. And if it's returning, that's true. Like, for example, 2 is less than 4, that's true. So that's considered a Boolean type. And we are going to also work with lists. You saw a little bit of this yesterday. I illustrate some of it, but we're going to work on an exercise today. And a list is basically a container that has many data, right? Like a group of values. For example, in this one, we have a list of a week for the days, and it will be Monday through Sunday. You can have numerical values, you can have strings, you can have long numbers, you can have floats. So lists can contain many things, and it's also considered a type. So that just means a data type, right? All your data has some form of type. It's a way that we categorize our data into a specific area. Okay, so now we talked about using a variable or creating a variable. You can put an underscore before letters, right? That's normally for servers. We don't normally use this. It's a little bit more rare. You never ever start your variable name with a number, right? We always want to start with a lowercase or an uppercase letter. You can follow it with a number for however, okay? So you can have account number like this, right? Account 1, account 2, but you don't want to start with a number. So a good practice is to make sure that it is easy to read. So you can use underscore to represent space, or you can mix up upper and lowercase. So it's easier for you to see what kind of name you're giving it, okay? Bless you. So we talked about how to create a variable and assigning the value to that variable, whether it's a string, an integer, right? You can also have multiple variables, right? You can have as many as you need. And we also work with input. You saw how we can enter your name in a program once we create or use input method, okay? And whatever you want to prompt, you want to put it in the parentheses and use the quotation mark. So today we are going to work with mathematical functions. And these are just the built-in methods or functions that Python comes equipped with. So that way you don't have to manually compute it, right? So in order to find an absolute value of something, we can use the ABS or the ABS method. And if you recall, if you have taken math, right? If I want to find an absolute value of -4, the result should be the opposite, right? Which is +4. So in a program, we want to, anytime that you're given a data or a value, you want to put it into a location, which is a variable, a container, right? This is where you want to store so that way you can access it. And you simply take that variable and you put it inside the parameter, inside the parentheses to be able to compute it. So in a calculator, like Windows calculator, if you use the absolute value function, basically in the back for the program, it's using the method to compute that, a function that a developer or a programmer wrote. We're also going to use ceiling to round off. And this is also the same in JavaScript. So ceil, think of it like you rise up to the ceiling. So anything that you want to round up, you're going to use ceil, okay? And this is just going to round up the value to a higher whole number. So when I go from 3.56, I can round that up to 4 by using ceil. But in order to use this function, you have to bring in a library. And what I said yesterday, a library is basically a file, right, that was created and you incorporate it. It's like, you know, how somebody wrote a book and it's in the library and you're gonna reference that book, right? So in Python, what we can do is we can import the math library by stating import math, and it's gonna reference math in order for you to use seal. So this is the way that we use seal, math.seal. And we're gonna pass the variable inside the parentheses like this, okay? And then we can also round down to the floor. So when you go down to the floor, and we can go round down to the whole number. So I can go from 4.56 down to 4 by using floor, okay? You can also use round, and this is just gonna round it depending on your regular math rules, right? If it's 0.5 or higher, it's gonna go up. If it's 0.5 or lower, or 0.4 or lower, it's gonna go down, or 0.49 and lower. So round is a little bit more closer to the exact, but you can force it to round however you think that is necessary for your program, okay? All right, I'm gonna pause here. We're gonna do a couple exercises together, so that way you can apply the concept. So if you don't have Tawny open up Tawny by searching for it. Make sure that we have this application open. And you can start a new file by clicking the little icon with the blank page here like this. Okay. And we're gonna start with lab 1, exercise 10. That's where we left off yesterday. And if you weren't here yesterday, you can also watch the video and be able to catch up. So in exercise 10 for lab 1, it tells you to use abs function. And there's an example there. So in this example, I see that I have a variable called my variable, and I assign it -4. In order to find the absolute value, I can print abs and then pass the value. So when you assign this, it's going to take this and plug it in here, and it's going to find the opposite of -4. So it's going to give you +4 as the result. So in Tawny, once you click the new file here, you're going to go ahead and you can type a comment, right, using the hashtag. So you can say this is lab 1 exercise 10. This is going to be ignored by the interpreter. And in the exercise, it tells you to declare a variable, and you can call it anything you want, right? I'm just following the example. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit more. Give me 1 second. Okay. So we can name our variable my variable. You can say var, you can say val, but stay away from the keywords, right? Python has specific keywords. So, and normally they would be highlighted in purple or something on your IDE. So when I declare my variable, I basically give a location in my memory or my storage a name, right? And the exercise said that you need to find the absolute value of -288. So you're going to take that 288 and assign it to your variable that you create here. And then I make a second variable. You don't have to, right? But I like to create another location where it's going to store the actual absolute value. So I have a second variable called my apps var. And in that, I have one too many parentheses there. Sorry, guys. In that, I would be using the apps function, and I'm going to pass the value 288 to the apps function. So it's going to take -288 and it's going to plug it in here. And then I want to print it out, right? So to print it out, for the user to be clear, I put my string absolute value and put it in the quotation mark, use the separator to separate it from this and this, and then bring this variable down so that way it's going to take the absolute value and plug it in here so it can display. So once we write these 3 lines, we're going to click run. And it tells me that my absolute value is 288. So once you have that, click the play button to run. Now, if you have a bunch of red stuff here, that means that you have a typo. So go back and check your typing. So if you have syntax error, make sure that we check it and fix it. It will tell you which line you have your error in. Whatever that you declare here, you got to make sure that it matches with the name when you use it in the parameter. Okay, that's a practice. It's like you give someone a name in order to refer to them correctly. We got to make sure we use the correct name. And it is case sensitive. So however you type, that's going to be exactly matched. So once we have run the program, we're going to go ahead and take a print screen, and that's the top button on your top right of your keyboard. Press that, open up Microsoft Word, and paste it in there. Okay, if you have the one from yesterday, you can add on to it. That's fine with me. Okay, so to take a print screen after I run and I got my result here on my shell, press the print screen button on your top right. It's going to be PRTSC for print screen. Press it, open up Word. And then right click, click the clipboard to paste. And there I have my print screen. Okay. So that's going to be your exercise 10, really easy. Any question on this? So how do I know what methods to use? There's hundreds and thousands of methods, right? The best way that you can do is simple. All my students, they just go to Google, right? And you can search for the methods like this. But what happens is there are a bunch of different tutorials, right? What you can do is you can go to Python documentation like this, okay? It will tell you different methods that you can use here. See that? So when I search, I just search for, you know, a certain methods or Python documentation, and I click here. So this is considered built-in functions. And it gives you the alphabetized functions that you can use, okay? Or you can use the help feature in Python and search for that particular function by name. And if I want to use the help feature, I'm going to show you real quick. You type help here, okay? And it's going to tell you interactive help object. So you can find like help and then apps in parentheses like this. Oops. And then you can search for, you can also in your IDE on the top, you can also go here and then go to help content. Okay. And it's gonna be able to pull up on your right. I hit this, you can pull it like this. So you can see more. So, all right. Next, we're going to do the next exercise. And if you need help, just make sure you call me, okay? All right, 11. So we talked about raise up to the ceiling, we round up, or round down to the floor. So when does this happen? Well, sometimes you compute something and you need to round it to whole number, right? Could be items, because, you know, certain things that you buy, either I buy 4 items or 3 items. I cannot buy 3.5 items, right? So sometimes we would need to be able to round that up or down. And in the to-do list, it tells you that Juan weighs 187.13 pounds. We want to write a Python program that is going to, hi, oh, come on in. I just got started because I wasn't sure.
Sorry for disturbing.
Okay, that's okay. All right, we're gonna pause real quick. I'll come back and help you with this. This is Seth, or Mr. Gerges. He has been working with me for study abroad program for, I want to say almost a year now, or more
Almost.
than that. Yeah, so he's here to help you with your insurance card and your test kit for the travel and do a little bit of orientation.
Thank you, appreciate that. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you. Happy New Year.
You want me to pass those out?
We will just give them just a second. Well, finally, I see some faces here. Some of you I have met personally, but I think the majority I haven't seen. My name is Sam Jorgis. I work for RCCE Study Abroad Office, so I bet you have communicated via email or phone call, or you have received my message. Thank you guys for being part of this program. I think it's gonna be an exciting opportunity to travel and to go see different places and to learn with Professor Casey will be absolutely fantastic. I'm not gonna take much of your time, but I already sent you a couple of information. Did you guys receive my email with the orientation material and the insurance card? Okay, I just thought would be helpful to bring you a copy of that. Adonis, are you here? Okay,
Yeah.
and Alejandro? All right. And then Camila? All right. And then the rest, I just thought I didn't have enough time to write, so I'm gonna just pass these right now. I'm sorry, because it was taking way too much time to write everyone. But I'm gonna give you the rest of them.
For the ones that are on Zoom, I think I have a couple students. that
Sure,
will
I'm
be
gonna
here
have
today.
everything.
I will keep them, they'll be here tomorrow or
Yes.
Monday.
And these extra.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now the remaining of the insurance card I have here. Now, let me tell you about this. This insurance card will cover you while you are there during your study abroad. Okay, when you arrive in Costa Rica. In case anything happen, our provider, which is called the Study Abroad Association, will be able to take care of you. For instance, if you need, but if you need to get hospitalized, get to, anything that happen, this insurance card, that's the purpose of it. All right, so let me distribute Daniela once. All right, and I have here, so here for Donald. And Fiona? Giselle? Irene? Isabel Cruz, she's attending, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Itzel? Itzel? Itzel or Itzel?
Itzel.
Itzel. Itzel. All right. Jacqueline? Jasmine? Jasmine?
Oh, she said she can, she's online.
Laura? Laura? I think.
She's back there.
Okay. Marcus? Marlene?
Marlene's out today. She's who will be doing.
Marianne? Marianne? Marianne?
I don't see it.
Okay. Natalie? Nicole? Paula? Benny Penelope, which is she's the one,
Yeah,
and we don't know yet, so.
okay.
Sabrina? All right. Now, I want to just kind of run with you about this orientation packet that you guys have. Please know, you have a lot of information in this packet. You have it digitally, you have it printed. In case you want to leave a copy for your family member, they know what, how to get a hold of you, all of that stuff, feel free to do that. Okay? You want to travel and be on your own totally, that's fine, it's totally up to you. But I want to also bring to your attention a few things. If you remember from my last email about your travel luggage, you are allowed on this plane only for a carry-on. Okay, for some of you might be enough, others may say, no, I need a check-in bag. Luggage. It's totally up to you, and you have the option in your. This for a second. Okay, you have the option that you can buy a check-in luggage either before traveling or when you go to the airport. All right, and it might cost, I think it's about $40 each way. So you need to plan for that accordingly. So if you're gonna take a check-in luggage, make sure you have enough money for this on the way out, on the way in. All right. 24 hours before departure, you need to go online, check what your reservation number and your name, and then you can book your luggage online. Usually it might be a little bit cheaper, it might be $30 rather than paying $40 online. I couldn't really figure out, I tried to look, it doesn't show. Another thing people have been asking about, and they want to can show with all of you guys. As you can see here, the electricity is all the same, like here in the US, it looks like. So you don't need to worry about that. Now, another thing about credit cards. Make sure if you are going to carry a credit card, please, if you have a credit card, ask your bank if does it have what's called foreign exchange rate. You know what's that? Have you traveled abroad? Like any credit card, some of them, they have no fee for foreign exchange rate. Others, they would charge you 3% to 5% for every transaction. It can accumulate a whole lot when you are traveling. So make sure you ask your bank. If it doesn't have a foreign exchange fee, then that's good, you can use it abroad. If it does have, it's gonna just accumulate more money on you, more cost. Now, what we would highly recommend you, so you can also, it's basically your debit card. Use that to withdraw money directly in the local currency. There will be a fee, but the fee would be usually about maybe $2 to $3. And that means every time you want to draw, don't draw just like, okay, I'm going to just change an equivalent of $20 or $50. Maybe take it at once, like, okay, I'm going to change $100. That would keep me, my expenses for a good week to 10 days or whatever amount that you want. So you can, again, reduce the cost, the extra cost of these exchange fees.
Do you know if a student brings cash, from what they told us before, that they're able to do the exchange at the airport or at the hotel?
I would believe yes.
Okay.
I would believe in any country you can exchange cash. I wouldn't recommend to carry a whole lot of cash. Maybe carry $200 to $300 in cash. Oh, $400 in cash at the max. It just, you can see from your itinerary, you are continually on the move. You are continually from every 2 to 3 days in a different hotel, in a different location. So you don't want to having all your money in cash. If something happens, you lose your, backpack, you lost all of your money, and be safe. Another thing also I want to recommend everyone, please do not travel with expensive stuff. Whether jewelry, I don't know, are you recommending them to carry computers?
I think some students, they ask if they can bring their computer because they're also taking another class.
Okay,
Yeah, so I think it's fine for them. I'm not requiring them to take a computer.
Okay.
But if they wish to, they can.
Just again, remember, wherever you are traveling over there, in some places, they told us the internet would not be reliable. So don't assume that wherever I'm going, internet is gonna be strong as here, I can connect, I can do that. Some of the area are very remote in the mountain area, so you may not have internet connection at all. Again, these are the things, and if you're taking other classes, you may wanna inform your professor, even if you're taking completely remotely, inform them that I'm gonna be traveling, I will not be able to maybe connect for 2, 3, 4 days, or sometimes for a week. Okay, so just let your professor here know about this. Another thing that I wanna cover with you about your transportation. We actually hired a charter bus that's gonna take you from RCC campus to the airport on the day of travel. When are you traveling?
For 12.
At 12, okay? Everybody, you need to be at RCC campus by Kane Building, okay, at 8 o'clock. Please, 8 o'clock. The bus will leave around 8:15, 8:20 at the max.
Which building did you say?
Kane, it's
Kane?
just, yeah, the main Kane building, which basically was the administration building. So the bus will be there, can take some pictures, have everyone travel together, go to the airport. Because it's a group check-in, remember, this is a ticket, your airline ticket, it's like one reservation for all the group. Okay, so if you are anyone planning to be at the airport or go to the airport on their own transportation. Okay, great. So all of you are gonna travel together. That's wonderful. That will make it easy.
But in case, for some reason, if they get left behind, they have to go to the airport on their own, how would they do that?
Well, it's totally up to them. We provide the things. But remember, we are not gonna hold the group. There are certain things that has to be on time. If you are late, if you come to RCC and the bus has already left, you got to manage to be there within, an hour or so and just catch up. And if you don't mind, you might want to give them your phone number.
Yeah, I will do that, and I think I'm on WhatsApp already.
Okay.
So, I will send a mass message that morning.
Okay.
Maybe like about 7 o'clock or 6:30, just to remind everyone, and so you should get there before 8 o'clock. Try to be there.
Do you have them like in a group on WhatsApp?
So I have a link for them to add me on WhatsApp, because that's how WhatsApp work is, I can add individual email, but I have a link on Canvas, and also I shared it before.
This is, guys, would be a great idea that your professor will create a WhatsApp group for all of you. So it would be a good way, whenever I travel with my group, we went to Egypt, went to Italy, I create a WhatsApp group. It's a good way to communicate with your professor, but also communicate with each other. Okay, so maybe you want to create just simply get the phone numbers and put them there. Okay, I'm going to talk also about the phone number. So back to the transportation. 12 at 8 on the January 12th at 8 o'clock, be ready to travel from RCC campus. On the way back, we are not providing any transportation, so you need to arrange for somebody to pick you up. Another idea could be maybe every 5, 6 people can arrange, like book in advance.
Lyft, bus.
A bus or a hired, like,
Uber.
Uber, yeah, you can hire an Uber, like if you are guys all coming back to Moreno Valley, going back to RCC, going back to wherever, but I think it would be much more cheaper. Of 4 to 5 people can arrange and reserve that in advance. Okay?
And that's from LAX.
From LAX when you come back on the
27th.
27, okay? So that would be my recommendation for that. Please make sure when you are traveling, either on the way to Costa Rica, on the way back, your passport and your COVID vaccination card is in your hand, or at least in your, backpack. It happens sometimes, believe it or not, people put it way deep into their bag and they arrive to the airport, it's like, oh, I have to open everything to look up for this. So please make sure your passport, your COVID vaccination card is in your, backpack, because that's what will be required to board the plane. Okay, about cell phone, you can certainly take your cell phone. Remember, here's what I know about cell phone. Nowadays, like if you have a T-Mobile carrier, your text and data is working in Costa Rica. T-Mobile provide actually free texting and free data in 168 countries. I believe Costa Rica including that. You cannot, well, take it back, like if you want to make a regular phone call, like from Costa Rica to your family or your family calling you back, that's called international roaming, which means about 25 cents a minute. So imagine like every phone call, like 5-6 minutes or even more, it can cost you a fortune. All right. Another thing that you can do, that's T-Mobile.
Yeah, so I have T-Mobile, and when I looked, you can log into your T-Mobile account if you have one of their newer plan. You can do free texting, and then there's a certain amount of data that you can use for free, along with the hotspot. But if you have a different form of plan, you can also buy the day pass or the 10-day pass or the monthly pass. I ended up getting the $50
Monthly,
15 gig
yeah.
because once I've been to Mexico and I went on, for some reason went on Rome, and I ended up paying like $300 bill. So you want to make sure that you are within your data limit, but check your pass. I think that they have one plan, a newer plan that already included for the international. You just put in your.
I think that's the Magna. I don't know if
Yeah.
it does include Mexico only, not all Latin America.
I checked for Costa Rica. That plan does include Costa Rica
And
for 5G.
I believe whatever this plan is only about data, not phone calls.
Yeah, but so basically if you're using multimedia messages like text and
Exactly.
things like that, that will be okay.
Yeah.
And then you can use WhatsApp to call your family, or you can use the Messenger app to call your family. If you
Correct.
have iPhones, right, you can still use Apple Direct server and be able to call. So you should be all right.
So just guys, we are telling you this, you are all maybe familiar with all of that, but just want to make it easy for you when you are traveling so you don't incur extra costs. I have here actually COVID test, and we're going to give each one of you 2 of those. Keep them in your luggage in case you feel like, oh, I'm feeling, not in my good sense. I want to check. And really here, I want every one of you to use just the common sense. If you test positive for whatever reason, be careful with your roommate, with your classmates, with the group here, and inform immediately your professor as well as your provider, the people who are going to be with you while you are traveling there, because they can help you, whether if you need extra medication, whether you need isolation, whether you need, whatever they may need, they will help you with that. Okay. So I am gonna just pass 2 for each person. And I am ready to, any question that you may have, guys, before I can take off here.
Oh, do you know if we're required to test coming back?
I believe not.
Okay.
I believe the US have removed that for US citizens. By the way, anyone who's carrying non-US passport, I believe all of you are US citizens, is that correct?
think you can also order those free test kits from the post office, right? But it does take like a couple weeks to arrive. So if you want something to spare at home, just in case when you come back, you can go United Postal Office. They have a link where you can order. I think you can order up to 4 or 6 per person in the household, so you can order extra ones.
Yes, they come, we got them from our risk management. We're gonna leave the rest for you. Okay, any question that guys you may have before I finalize? Now, one thing that we need just to finalize here about the room list. We have already people have selected each other. So I have Alexandra and Irene, Paula and Natalia, Jasmine and Nicole, Jacqueline and Adonis. Okay. All right, is that Adonis? Okay. All right, and Jacqueline. Okay,
Their spouse.
are they? Okay, I was about, okay, that's it. Just because we have the rules, you know, no co-ed while you are in the school activity, but. Okay, Marlene and Sabrina. And then the rest of you haven't selected, so if you want to take a minute to select each other, or you prefer we randomly select the rest of you?
So do you feel comfortable with picking another student to be roommate with, or right now, or do you want to spend a little bit more time for those of you who haven't picked a roommate?
How about this? I will leave you for the rest of the day, but please email me either today or tomorrow morning.
Can you also send me the list so that way I can remind the students who haven't selected the roommate? Yes, thank you.
All right,
All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms left.
yes,
These are for the students, right?
exactly. And I need those by tomorrow because we need to send it to the provider so they can inform the hotel and things like that.
And what happens if they decided to change later? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think it's over there. You
Right.
can, I don't foresee any problem with that if in case. And again, about room mating, guys, you know, many of you, I think most of you have seen meeting each other for the first time. Things happen, you know, the person that you are, roommating with is just kind, they are staying up too late, you like to prefer to sleep at 10 o'clock, then just talk to each other. And if there is a need to change, you can change, just make things easy. This is make it easy for everyone. You have a question?
Yeah, my question was just if, we pick the roommates now, are we gonna remove the whole?
Yes, it's the idea that this, because they can send that to every hotel. And then remember, every time you go in the hotel, they may ask you for your passport. Because that's usually the case in a foreign, country. They will ask for the passport, make sure, you are there. So, or this stuff. Another question?
Oh, I just put the name down.
Say that again?
Oh, I just put the name down for the list.
Oh, okay, here. She wants to pick her.
Good.
So if you feel like you want to pick right now, you can let Seth know. Or you can email. You want, deadline is tomorrow evening?
I would like tomorrow before noon, because as you know, Friday, you're not in class, I'm out also, so we need to make things just easy,
Okay,
all right? And once again, Wednesday, which it's Wednesday, the 12th,
yeah,
Yeah.
Thursday the 12th.
Thursday, the 12th, then you need guys to be there, okay? Are we good?
Anyone else who wants
Any
to pick
other?
now, or? Well, you can think about it tonight and then, just short deadline. So just let him know by tomorrow.
Just shoot me an email, it's the easiest way, it would be good. Study.abroad@rccb. Study.abroad, so that's good. Shall I leave this with you?
Sure.
And maybe tomorrow or later, if anybody else,
Okay, do you want me to shoot you these people? Okay,
just in.
all right, I'll do that.
All right, guys, wishing you a wonderful trip, enjoy it, I think, and I wanna just announce, if you get into the bulk of studying abroad, traveling, our next is gonna be a semester abroad in Florence, Italy. So that's gonna be in the fall, and it's gonna be a full fall semester in Florence, Italy. Very soon, actually, it's already available on our website. You see the list of classes, the professors, and the cost, everything. Check that out, and then maybe you come back, say, I wanna do more of this. All right? We'll see you.
I wanted to ask you, Emma Pacheco, Gabriela Florido, and I, we want to co-teach one summer, not this, I know Belize is the next one, but possibly like the following summer. Would that be okay if we submit one proposal for all three faculty? Because we want to do English 1A, a CIS course, and a math course combined during that. So it'll be like a 60-student study abroad, or is that too big?
I think it's a great idea. Maybe check with Misheri, just because Misheri, she's the faculty coordinator, just because of the idea of combining so many classes. We never done that. I'm not saying.
It's like we're offering the same set of classes during the summer at that time.
Mhm.
We want to co-teach so that way we will do one project as a cross-discipline project.
This would be
With the
actually,
students.
that would be,
I do a lot of cross-discipline, so I think it's really cool that the students, they work together.
yeah, but
So-
I think it just would be the question whether we can make the number
Right.
of students to cover, because with 3 faculty traveling, what's the cost?
Well, I think that the more discipline combined, I think we will have more opportunities to promote and
When you come back, shoot them an email to Misheri, and that's. what
we'll
we
put together something and then we'll give you first and happy to take a look at it and Sherry to take a look at it and.
Absolutely, I think that's great.
All right.
All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you on Thursday when you are traveling.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you for your help.
Say that again. Oh, see, I was walking when I thanked you.
I have another one.
Yeah, oh, now this is. Yeah, that's, I had it just in my head. Thank
Thank
you.
you for stopping by.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good evening. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
And I might, actually, do you have my cell phone as well?
I think you sent it to me via
I'm gonna
email.
send it to you again, just to keep it on that WhatsApp group, so in case anything, you can
Okay,
just, I would be kind,
I can
Easy
send you
for-
also the link that I have given them to add,
that's right. Big.
so that way you can add it too.
Sure,
Thank you.
thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so there's a lot of coordination that actually went into this, so it's, we're close to our travel time now, so. All right, just make sure that we select our roommates, for those of you who haven't, and then I'll email the room 6 to Seth tonight. Okay, let's pick back up, sorry, switching gear. We're gonna go ahead and finish up. We left off with our exercise 11. So we need to round Juan's weight, right? And so in Tani, as you finish the last one, you're gonna go ahead and click the new file here. Okay, click the little blank page icon there. And you're gonna start writing the next program. So this one is really easy. So we need first to import in our math library. So the first line, the statement of your code, the first one is gonna be import math. And here, in order, I just put a comment so you can see, in order to use seal and floor, we have to use math. Then I have a variable called weight, and this is where we're gonna put in his weight. Now, if you want to make an app where you can have the user enter their own weight, you can do that, right? You just use input and then prompt them enter your weight. And then it's gonna store into that variable. then we want to print. And you can basically nest it inside the print function. So, or you can create another variable and store the round up and the round down. So the first one is we are gonna round up. And whenever you use seal or floor, you should use math dot, right? So this is used more as a method which access the property of the math file. Then we are gonna do a print round down. So we are gonna do a print with a math dot floor. And notice that in the parameter, I want to use the weight, which is my variable that store Juan's actual weight. So let's say I want to do a health app, right? And you see this on your Fitbit or your smartwatch or your smart devices all the time. It normally asks you to enter your weight, your age, all of these things that are health related, and then it's going to give you the recommended exercise routine or etc. notification. So once we have this, we are going to go ahead and click the play button to run. And it tells me that the weight round up, we know that when we round it up to the ceiling, it's going to be 188 pounds. And for the weight rounded down, it's going to be 187 pounds. So as we are using these methods, and these are only two from the example, we want to be able to understand on how to be able to use it with the math library and then also pass the parameter or the variable inside the parameter. Any questions? You doing okay? Good. Okay. Use that to save your money. Let me know if you need help. Okay. All right. Any questions? We're good. This one's pretty easy. So make sure we check our syntax, right? I can just print out without this string, but I wanted to show like the up and the down for the rounding. Okay, so now also you can find the example for this in the notes. Okay, oh, I'm looking at the lab too. So next we're going to talk about max, min, and sum. We already seen how sum used yesterday. We can total everything up using the sum function. We can also quickly find the maximum. So imagine if you have like 1,000 values and you want to find the highest value, you can use the max function. Or we can use the min function to find the minimum value. And this can be useful for your project when you're working with your data. Now, the cool thing in Python is when you use the graph tools that that you bring in through the library, a lot of the times it will find the average, the variance, the max, the min, all of that for you. Okay, so it is very user friendly. So in this example, you're going to see that we are going to use a list. So normally when you use max, min, or sum, you need to have some form of a list. And in a list, we're going to use the square bracket like this. Okay. And each of the item you want to separate it with the comma. It could be numbers or it could be string. Okay. So in the next lab exercise, we are going to do number 11 or 12. So we are going to use min and max in Python. And for the to-do, it says Lila receives the following scores on her math quizzes: 90, 78, 82, 61, 87, and 94. we want to be able to find the lowest and the highest quiz score. So on your Tawny, you're gonna start a new file. Okay. And we are going to write our program. So the first thing you're gonna do is you are gonna define a list. And in this list, it's gonna contain all her quiz scores. So you're gonna do scores and make sure that we include the numbers that are given to us in the exercise. So she got 90, right? 78, 82, 61, 87, and 94. Now, in order to find the lowest score, we can simply print out min scores. And so when I print, I just add the string Lila's lowest score is, right? Or colon, and then we would do a min score. And similarly with max score is going to be the highest score. Are you doing okay? Do you have any questions? Okay. When you want, so go back here. Okay. So file save as. Point to your USB. You put your USB in. And the first top. You see the slot. There it is. So click on the USB. All right. Now here you want to give it a name. So that was so that was L1XEX10. That was going to be that one exercise. .py. So period after the end. Okay, yeah, for every Python file, it will be .py. Click save. Okay, and you want to do the same thing for the next one, otherwise it won't save. Okay. And then any questions regarding min and max? This one's really easy. Okay, so once we have our program, just click run, and then you can do a print screen and paste it to your document that you're gonna submit. Okay, and then let me see this. Did you run this one already? The one right here. Okay, then you pick a print screen. Paste it in Word yet? All right, that's okay. Yeah, so you want to just replace that, so delete that one and paste. Okay, very good. All right, any questions on this? Okay. So now we know how to use min and max. And similarly, we talked about using sum where it adds up everything and return the total, right? So it's like taking all the values inside that list and add them up together, okay? And you can do it with passing one variable, or you can have the variable and then add the next value to it. So if I have a bunch of numbers in a list, I can use a sum method, and I can also add another parameter where I can add in another value. Okay. So now let's do the next exercise. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Okay. All right. So for number 13, we are going to use the sum method. And it tells you that Sonia ran 2 miles on Monday, 3 miles on Tuesday, 5 miles on Wednesday, and 8 miles on Thursday. we want to be able to total that, right? And we don't want to just add them manually. We want to use the sum method. So we have task A. We're going to display the total miles that she runs using sum function. Then task B, she also ran, or in the previous week, she ran 10 miles. So we have to add the 10 to it. And so we want to have a total of the 2 weeks in our program as well. Okay. All right. So on your Tawny, open up a new document and you're going to write the next program. I pre-wrote this before class because I had a little bit of time. So here is number 13. I have a list called miles, and this is for the current week, right? So she ran 2, 3, 5, and 8, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? So 2, 3, 5, and 8 miles. And I want to print out the total of miles that she ran. So I put the string total miles that Sonia ran in 1 week. And I would use sum, and I simply bring down the name of my list and pass it in the parameter there. And that will be task A. Once you have that, you will be able to write. Yeah, just actually get once it's done, you can open it. Once it's done, and it won't use the editor on top of the shelf. Any questions on this one? Okay, so as I explained earlier, we are going to also add the miles. Now you can put it into a variable like this, or you can also do this, right? You don't have to add this. I'm just going to show you some miles. And you can also pass a value like this, and it would still print out the same. Okay. I'm going to take it down a little bit so you don't have to add this. So we can put the number, or we can put it into a variable and then bring the variable to the parameter like this. Okay. So I still have the total as the same there, right? So once we have that, make sure we take a screenshot and then paste it to your document. And this is optional. You just finish this part right here is good. All right, make sure we save our file as Python. So file, save as, and then give it a name and a .py. Like that. Questions? Okay, so however you name your list or your variable, you can name it anything you want as long as it makes sense, right? Okay, next part. And I will come back to this if you miss something. Okay, so we are gonna do power, which is exponents, right? And I know that this is probably a lot of math, but I want to show you the basic so that way you would know how to do this. So in the notes and in your exercise, it tells you that you can raise something to the power. So for example, if I need to do 3 squared, the base is the x and the exponent value is the y. So I would do POW 3, 2 for 3 squared, right? That will be 9. Or sometime I can also do the power, the exponent, and the mod together. So what mod is it's going to take that value and divide it by the mod value, and whatever the remainder is, that's going to be your output. So for example, 3 divided by 2 is 1 time with a 1 remainder. So 1 is going to be the answer for 3 mod 2. Okay. So whenever you see the mod, it's only going to output the remainder after the division. Okay, so let's do some exercise together here. In your Tani, open up your new document, and we're going to do 14. So in exercise 14, for question A, it tells you to take 6 and raise it to the 3rd power. That will be 6 cubed, right? So when we print, and you don't have to put all that stuff in the print, I just want to print to show you here. To make it 6 to the 3rd, I would do POW 6, 3, right? Base, exponent, base, exponent, okay? So the exponent is the little number that you see at the top, right? And the base is the big number on the bottom. So if we take 6 cubed, right, it's going to output a value. And similarly, if we do negative 254 to the 5th power, we would do the same. POW, but you have to print it though, right? In order to display, you're going to do a print, and you don't have to type this in. You can just do POW negative 254, 5. Okay, so that's how you use exponent in Python. Any questions? Yes. You still have to put the parenthesis for the pen, right? It's inside, it's not inside one of them. Yeah. So I'll just print a number, right? It won't print all the text before it. You don't have to put this, right? So the question is, can I do it like this? Yeah, I can print it like that. I'm just, I just want to put what the value is going to be equal to this. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, So instead of having all of this text in the front, it's gonna print just the output like this, if you do a print PAL like this. Or you can be fancy and put this stuff in. Sometimes that can be confusing, right? So negative 254 to the 5th power, that's gonna be this value. And if I want to take negative 12 and raise it to the negative 8th power, okay, it's gonna give me this value. So the E here just indicate the number of decimal it is with the negative value to the left, right? Now, for this, when you take 5 and raise it to the 3rd, basically it's 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. 125 divided by 4, and if you do the division, you should have a 1 remainder. So it's going to output 1. Okay? Anytime that you have an odd number divided by an even number, you're going to have a 1 remainder. Okay? That's what mod is. So the mod is used with the percentage symbol. And then for E, I have 11 to the 6th power. So it's 11 multiply 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, right? 6 times. And then I would take the output from that, the product, and divide it by 8. And since that's going to be an odd number divided by an even number, you're going to have a 1 remainder. Modulus is used a lot in encryption. So, for those of you who are interested, you would see a lot of mod function being used in encryption. For computer science students, you guys are going to see that when you do encryption programs. And modulus arithmetic is very popular for a lot of the programs that are related to that. Any questions? So today you're able to use built-in functions that is mathematically related or numerical related. And there are many, right? These are just the basics so you can see. And again, you don't have to put the thing in the front right here. You can omit that and just do print PAL like this for all of them. Okay, I just wanted to show you so we can see the output for each. Take a screenshot, paste it to your document. Any questions? Okay. And we can find example also in your notes, right, on how to use power with mod. Okay. And then next we're going to do a square root. So square root require a math library. And whatever the value that you want to use, you just simply put it inside your parameter or your parentheses there. But you got to make sure whenever you import math, you got to make sure that you note it is a property of the math file. Okay, so you're going to do math dot square root like this. Okay, so if you're ready, you can open a new document. And we are going to do the next exercise. So for the next exercise, we're going to do square root of 100, 560, and 8821. Okay. So for square root, I first need to import math. Type that in. Then I simply can print. And you can print out the text or without the text. So if you know your math, right? Square root of 100 is 10. So you would do math.sqrt for square root. And inside the parentheses of that function, you pass the value. You put in the 100, 560, and 881. That's easy. But in order to display, you gotta make sure that you nest that into the print function. So it would look like this. Now, for those of you who want to use square root of a value, you can round it up, you can round it down, right? Later on, if you want to do that. And so you can treat the value however you want now that we know how to use some of the functions. So the computer ultimately, in the past and in the present, it's used to calculate. It is a huge calculator, right? So in 1940s, computer was created to do arithmetic. And then eventually they increased its capability to have more computation, ultimately to calculate more equations. And so the computer we use today is modeled after something that we built in 1930s and 1950s, right? The model is exactly the same still. But the power in computing has changed. We require that the system is faster, store more. And so therefore we modify the actual model to really fit our needs. But ultimately it's still calculating numerical values in the back on the low level. So everything breaks down to 0 and 1s. So whatever the number that you see there, the computer will understand its own number. And that's how it's calculating the square root. So it is a calculator. And so when you write this program, what you do is you store this number 100, right? And you treat it with the function square root. And then you would output it. So it puts it into the temporary memory, calculate it, and then bring it out and convert it to text to show you this. And that's how it works. Any questions? Okay, so remember that when you use square root and those rounding functions, we need to use the math library. You can also find Python documentation. This is built in into Python, so you can find the details for each of the functions there. We're not limited to just the ones you learned today. Yeah, so if you want to find more functions to use, you just go to Python documentation, you Google that, and you can find the math functions there. It lists a lot of different ones. So let's say that if I need to find sine, right, function, you can find it in the math library. So they already programmed that. So when you use a function from that file, basically you're using a pre-made program for your program.
So my question is like, once you like, when you were doing like a job, were you able to like, or did you use like, I guess like the other like functions that they already had before?
Yeah. So there are a lot of different tools. So for example, right, a lot of my computer science students, they want to write games for their project, or that's what they want to do. So instead of writing everything from scratch, people already created different modules and packages. Packages are multiple modules, and a module is a file, right? A Python file. So they would have many files combined in one package. So you can simply download it, right? Just like how you download the Python, but what you can do is you can bring it into your system and then reference that file. It's like going to check out a book from a library and then go to the page in the book. It's exactly like that, right? So you would bring in the file and then tell your system to go to that file and use that file to make your program. So what it is in the computing world is we don't start from scratch. We build from other people's.
So it's kind of like you coloring in like a blank. I guess like kind of like coloring.
Yeah, there's already a template for you, and then you can modify it however you want. Yeah, and that's really the technology world is you take what's already built and you improve it. All right. Any other questions? Okay, let's do the next one. We're almost done. I know it's a lot of typing. Okay, so now let's do something cool. We are gonna do random integers, right? So this is happen a lot with games, right? When you're throwing dice, the programmer actually just randomly generate those values. And so in computing world, a lot of things looks random, but it is not random, right? So for example, if you start in the same thing, right? Sometimes when it says random and when you click the button, it's still giving you the same value. That means that it's pseudo random. That means that it starts in the same position every time. And it's using an equation to be able to compute it and give you the same value. That's not really random. If you ever use like those, randomly generated password on your smartphone or whatever, right? A lot of those things are truly random because it's using system time. So my time now and 10 seconds later is different, right? It's different from the past and compared to the future. So in a lot of the truly random generated values, it should be truly different. So when I click it at different time, even half of a second later, it should give me a different number. So we are going to make a random generator from our program. So in number 16, we're going to use ranit. And this is going to generate whole number that is randomly generated in a range. So I can tell it to generate different values between 0 and 10. When is this important? It's important when you get those access code in text messages, right? It generates different values every single time. Now, if they're sending you the same access code, that's just because it's not truly random. Or, they're recycling the code, right? So you can also have from negative value to a positive value. And when you do that, you can also use ranint. So ranint is generate random whole number, okay? And so, but what I can do is I can make it into different steps. So I'm going to have a start and a finish, right? Like a range, okay? All right. So for number 16, what we're going to do is we're going to write a Python that uses ranint. And that comes from random library. And we're going to make it generate a number between 0 and 100. Okay? And so open up a new document. And you are going to write your first random generator file. We're going to import random library. So this is a file that they already have the algorithm to generate random. It's going to seed at a certain value. That means it's going to start. I'm going to have a variable called ranval, when you can call ran or random number, whatever you want to name it. And to generate the random, we're going to do random.ranit. I'm going to start at 0 and I'm going to go to 100. And I want to print that, right? So after I'm done, I want to print out my random value. So when I run this, it's going to tell me I have 97. But if I run it again, do I get 97? No, right? I have 30. And I can keep going. 4, right? So it should generate different value for you every single time. Now, to make it truly random, they have to incorporate system time, which is, you know, different as system, the time would increment. But a lot of the things that we use in programming is not truly random. It looks random, right? So here we go. You just need to use random library and you would use randint, but because it comes from the random library, it will be random.randint and 0 to 100. So if I want to generate 0 to 500, it will be 0, 500. And it will pull any number in that range and give it to you. So this is how random numbers generate, okay? So when you're done with your few lines of code, click run, make sure we check our syntax. And then you should have your output and take a screenshot. Any questions? You know, this is like for computer science students, normally this is like week 3 or 4 when I go through this. So you guys are pretty good, day 2 in the intersection. Doing good. So in a regular semester, we spend a little bit longer time on this, but you get the idea on how to do. So the takeaway from this, when you're using random library, make sure that we include the library dot and then our function. And then the value from start to finish. Okay, the range here. Any question? Make sure we save our file to the USB. Point to your USB and you can name it the lab exercise. I put L116. Okay, next one. Just a few more and then we'll be done. Okay, in this one, we are gonna still use random. We're gonna do a rand range. And this is a little different than the last function. It's gonna have a start, a stop, and a step. So what you're telling the system is, I'm gonna give it a range. Let's say I wanna generate a random number between 0 to 100, but every 2, right? So it's gonna increment every 2. So it's gonna couple every 2 numbers and it's gonna pull a random number from those. So the step just means that it is an incrementation, and if you don't put anything, it's gonna default to 1. Okay? So instead of using every single one number, like from 0 to 100, I can say 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, like every even number, and it's gonna pull those, right? So I can tell it to step in incrementation, and that's your third parameter, okay? So the example here, you can see we can do step every 2, step every 3, and it's gonna generate those random number for you. Okay, for number 17, we are gonna use rand range, and we're gonna go from -100 to 100, and we're gonna step every 10. Okay, so on Tani, open up a new document and you are going to write, again, 3 lines. Import your library, import random. And you simply replace the randint from earlier with rand range and change the value. So I have a variable, val. And from the library, I'm going to create a random value using rand range. And it's going to go from -100 to 100, and it's going to step every 10. So here it tells me that stepping every 10 in that range is going to give me 60, and your value is going to be different than mine, right? Okay. And then we're gonna click again. We should see that, oh, now it's giving me 0. So every time you click, you would get a different number when you run. So unlike the last one, in this one, we're using a different function that allows us to generate value with the third parameter, where we would be able to have it increment in chunks. So it's pulling from each of the chunks, basically. So you notice that it's like 10th increment, 0, 60, 90, etc. Questions, need any help? Okay, so once we have our program, run it, take a screenshot, add it to your screenshot document. So when you go and play those games where it says lucky draw or those slot machine draw on the internet, that's a random generator, did you know? So when it generates a value, it converts that to an image. So you see, like, you know, if it's cards or, you know, I don't know, hearts, cherries, whatever, right? Slot machines are known to incorporate random generators. So, and then also when you play card games online, dice. And dice have rules on the faces, so it would generate random pool from, you know, 0 or 1 through 6 for the faces. And that would use the street map. Okay, so now we learn how to generate random numbers. Pretty cool. Any questions? Okay, so next we're gonna do number 18. This one, we're gonna use arithmetic operators, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, so the problem, it tells you here that Kevin receives the following scores on his assignments: 100, 96, 80, 77, and 62. We want to use the arithmetic operators to find his average score, right? So to find the average, we add everything up here. We can use the sum function for that and divide it by 5 because there are 5 scores, right? Pretty easy. Okay, so new document for number 18. And you would start with the list of his score. You don't have, you can add blank lines or no lines, doesn't make a difference. So he had 100, 96, 80, 70, and 62. And to find the total of his scores, we simply have another variable, and we would use the sum method to compute the total by passing the test score list, right? This is a list of all the scores, and we would add the total. Now, to get the average, we would simply take the total and divide it by 5 and using the division operator. And then I can print out the average score. So his average score is 83, right? That's a B. And so later on, I will show you how you can convert that to a letter grade, right? So we can say if, right, score is 80 or, right, to 89, we would display B. And so a grade calculator simply would be able to convert numerical value like this to a letter right after we compute the average score. So his average score is an 83. Another way that you can use, so what if I have many more scores, right? Instead of counting up the number of scores, you can use length of the list, LEN function, and then pass the list name. So it's going to add up the number of elements or your scores and take a division. Let me test this real quick. Let's see if I pass this correctly. Yep. So you can do it this way too. So instead of putting 5 here, I basically said it's the length of my list. So my list have 5 elements. So it knows that there are 5 elements. So in the case, if I add more elements, it's still going to be able to find my average instead of using the actual static number or like a manual number like this. I can tell it to go and find the number of elements inside using length like this. So you can do it that way as well. You don't have to add the second part, line 11 or 12, but that's an alternative. Okay, save, run, screenshot. Okay, so make sure we check out the notes. It gives you more example. Use this for the quiz, okay? Or prepare for the quiz. I don't care if you use open notes for the quiz, that's fine. You can learn when you look at the notes. Okay, so in the notes, it talks about comparison operator. There are different ways that we represent this. So when you say when things are equal to something, you use a double equal sign. Not equal to, exclamation equal sign, right? Greater. This is, I tell the little kids, this is the like the alligator mouth, right? It eats the bigger size. And then for less than, same thing. Okay. Greater than, equal than. Greater, less than and equal to, you use that. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the next exercise here. So we are going to talk about compound operators. This is a way that you can combine something that is repeated. Okay. So I can have plus an equal sign, simply it is gonna take itself and add it to 5 like this. X is X plus 5. X is X minus 5. X is X times 5. So you can use compound operator to say that it is itself, multiply it by a value, subtract it by a value, or adding by a value. Okay, so this is a way that we can use compound operators. So for the exercise, it tells you that coffeeforless.com sells gourmet coffee at $10 per pound. The store offers 10% discount to all customers. Lisa bought 23 pounds of coffee. We want to determine the discount amount and the total amount that she purchased. Okay, so basically we want to see what the 10% is like for 23 pounds, right, in dollars. And then we wanted to see her price that she paid less the 10%. Okay, open up your new document. We're going to do number 19. That's the end of lap 1, actually. So we would have a variable called customer purchase. And Lisa bought 23 pounds. So we're going to put 23. That's the data that's given to us. And it tells us that Lisa paid $10 a pound. So cost per pound, $10. Okay. And I want to use compound operator. So basically, I'm saying that it is 23 times 10, right? So it is itself times the cost per pound. So I would say customer purchase. Why am I using the same variable name? Well, because it's declared here as 23. So I'm saying 23 is or customer purchase is 23 times 10 by using the compound operator like this. Okay. Hold on a second. Now I know that my discount is 10% of the purchase. And you see this a lot on retail website, right? You know, they give you those discount code for the first time customer. And when you add things to shopping cart, it's going to compute the discount, right? So the discount, I wanted to say it's 10%. So it's going to be 0.10. And it's going to multiply it by the customer purchase, which is 23 times 10. That's basically $230, right? So I want to print out the price, the discount amount. And yesterday we learned how to use the dot format to make sure it's 2 decimal point. So for those of you who didn't see it yesterday, right, we want to note this, make sure it's exactly like this, colon period 2F for 2 decimal point, and then dot format. And once we have the discount amount, we would take the total amount, subtract the discount, and we would have the purchase that the amount that she actually paid. Okay, assuming that we don't pay tax. So we know that the discount amount is $23. And Lisa has to pay $207 because it takes $230 subtract 23. Would give you $207. So whenever you see the shopping cart now, right, when you make your retail online, when you deal with discount, this is what's happening in the back of its Python. So when you see a problem like this, start with putting the data into the variable. So create the variable, assign the value that's given to you, and solve the problem. So basically this part right here, if it is confusing for you, right? It is basically 23 times 10. It is itself times the other variable. And you can still use 23 times 10, but we put it into variables so we can save the typing basically. Compound operator helps you reduce your statement to a simpler statement. So it's easier to read. Any questions? And you don't have to put my comment there. Comments are just notes for us to see, ignored by the interpreter. Okay, if you finish with 19, if you want to take a break, you can. Get some snack. If you need to go to the restroom, it's on the right-hand side, outside right there. If you miss any other ones, we can go back to those if you need to take a look. Okay, I'm gonna pause recording real quick. Okay, maybe we'll do a couple more after the break and then you guys can have the rest of the night off. We'll try to work on lab 2 again tomorrow and then so we don't have too much to do later. Okay. Good. Okay. How are you doing? Okay? Hanging in there? You getting it? Okay.
At first it was confusing.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of practice after a while.
Yeah.
So the first part, the number 2 through 9, I had it recorded yesterday, so you can watch that if you wanted to do those later. So at home, you just need to install the application and Python on your computer. Okay. Tawny and then python.org, you can download and install. Did you guys buy all the things you need for the trip already? No. Well, one more week, you can still look for things, whatever you need. Okay. So if we finish with exercise or lab 1, you can upload your document if you want to add more things to it, like the beginning or some of the things you missed, you can hold on to it. It's not due until Sunday. So you would click lab 1 and then click submit, attach, right? And attach the file to Canvas. Make sure we save that to our USB. So in case if you submit the wrong file, you have it later to resubmit. You can turn it in as many times that you need. Okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do at least a few lab 2 exercise, the easy ones at the beginning. And then we will pick back up tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be able to finish. We'll do as much as we can tomorrow. So what I did was I remodified the assignment so that way you have a little bit more exposure hands-on to different things in Python before you go. And then next week, we will do a short assignment and I will talk a little bit about the project so you know what to look for when you go to Costa Rica, right? If you decide to do like an art thing for your Python, you're gonna learn how to put together a graphical user interface where you have buttons and things like that. So you can incorporate that as part of your project too. So let's say you take a picture of a bunch of birds and you want to be able to use that for your project, you can. I will show you how you can program that and then add your images that you had taken. Or you can write down things about different things that you see in Costa Rica and include that into your program. So I want you to record data for your project or store something that represent Costa Rica for your project. I have a chat. Okay, all right. And make sure, don't forget to email Seth regarding your room situation if you haven't selected a room. And if you want us to select your roommate, we can do that. He will be able to help you with that as well. Okay. All right. So make sure that we turn in lab 1 if we complete everything. If you miss something after we finish today, I will stay after and I can help you with specific ones if you need. Okay. So let's take a look at lab 2. We're going to do a few and then I'll let you go for the day. Okay. So on your Canvas, you can download the lab 2 document or take a look at it. So in lab 2, we're going to switch gear now. We are going to talk in your notes. You're going to see that we are going to get into conditions and strings. So right for earlier, you've been working with numbers. So now we are going to actually take string and we are going to work with that. Okay. So string is simply a list of characters. And what we want to do is we want to be able to use the string as a group of characters and manipulate it. Okay, that means that we want to access a certain characters. We want to be able to use the index to access part of the word, right? So for example, I can combine 2 strings together like hello world. So you have a variable, one string, another variable, store another string, and you can use the plus sign or the addition operator. This is what we call concatenation to combine those. But when you do that, what's going to happen is it's going to stick those 2 strings together, no white space. See that? So in order to make it having a white space, you got to actually add the quotation mark with the space. Okay. And I'm looking at notes on page 14. It shows you some example. So on a string, like Python, each of the character is using an index. Think of it like a location, right? This is location 0, index 0. So we always start with the first letter and the first index is going to be 0 from the left to the right. Next is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in a 6-letter word, Python, you're going to have 0 to 5 index. Now, Python is cool in that you can go from right to left. So when you're going from right to left, it's going to be -1 and -2, -3, -4, -5. So what I can do is I can access the letter N using index 5 or index -1. And the way that you use the index is you're going to put it into the square bracket like this. So when I print, I simply print my string variable, right? And then the index value. If it's positive, it's left to right. If it's negative, it's right to left. Okay? And I can use length to identify the number of letters in my string. Okay, so let's try one. Let's do one for your name. Let's look at lab 2, number 1. We're gonna write a Python program that's gonna contain your first name, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna display the first and the last letter of your first name. Okay, for A. Then for B, we're gonna look at the number of characters in your first name. How many characters, how many letters does it hold? We're gonna access the third letter of your first name and the second letter of your last name. I mean, second and last letter and second to last letter. Okay. All right, let's go with, let's see. Okay. So here is my program. So start a new file. And this is going to be lab 2 ex1. So I have a variable called my name, and you simply declare it with your first name in quotation mark. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the first letter of my first name. So we're going to use the positive index. So it's going to take the letter K right here. And so if your name is Mary, right, that's going to be just the first letter. So it doesn't matter what name you declare, it's going to use the first index, which is index 0 for that letter, and it's going to display. And so when I print, I want to say print, the first letter of my first name is, right? And I want to bring down my variable for my first name and put in the index 0. Now, next, I wanted to display the last letter of my first name. And in my case, it is the Y. So I would say the last letter of my first name in the print function, I simply bring down my string or my variable here, and I would use the -1 index. I can also use 5. I mean, let's see, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, 4 here if I want to use the positive. So going from right to left, it's going to be -1, right? Left to right, it's going to be 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it depends on how long your name is. You can count from left to right as positive number and right to left as negative number, starting with -1 on the right. So this is what we call indices, using index to access individual character in a string or text. Now to display, and you don't have to add all the comments, right? Comments is just to help you know what this line means. To display the number of characters in my name, I can simply use length or len, L-E-N, len, and this is going to be my variable, which is my string, my name. So Python allows you to pull different characters from the string using slicing. And so whenever you see a range of index like this from 0 to 3, that's what we call string slicing. And what that does is it allows you to pull out number of characters inside a certain group of characters. Okay. So if I have a very long string, I can pull that out. So why does this really matter? Sometimes we can use it for search mechanism, especially when you have user input a lot of text. We can pull out specific characters to, for important reasons. So in various ways, string slicing allows us to size it down to a number of characters from the original set, right? So in the next part, and this is not all of it either, so let me pull it up a little bit so you can see. So in the next part here, if I want to go from the first letter to the third letter, I simply use the slicing method or approach. That's going to be 0 to 3. Okay, so when you slice, basically you cut down, right, this part right here and display it. Does it change your string? No, right? It's just simply go and access it and pull out a part of it. Now you don't have to put both of this. I want to show you that you can achieve the same thing here as here. Okay. So if you don't put the 0, if you leave it blank :3, Python is going to assume that it is a 0. So you don't have to type 0 to 3. You can do 0 :3 like this or blank :3. It's the same for slice. And that will be the same thing for the back. If you leave it blank, it's just going to assume that it's going to go to the end of your entire string. So if your name has 15 characters, it's going to go to the end, to the last letter, right? So if you leave it blank, it will go to the end, or you can use len, L-E-N, and your variable name this way. So there are many ways that you can do this, okay? You can just pick one way. You don't have to do all of them like I did. I just want to show you can. So if I want to print out the second letter, the second to the last letter of my name, so the second to the last letter, this is E, then what I can do is I can go, I'm sorry, the second letter, which is A to E, like A-S-E right here, right? So it's going to go from 1 to the last. Oh, this is to the last. This is second to the last. My name, 1 to like my name. Oh, okay. So the second letter to the last letter, that's what I meant. Okay, the second letter, which is this. So A-S-E, it's going to go for this. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to zoom in a little bit. Actually, that's it, right? Okay. So when we finish, we can run this. And so you can see, right? So it went from first to third. And then it went from the second letter to the last letter. So it's gonna go A-S-E-Y. Okay. And you can use any of these statements. So this is different than this. You don't have to do all. So you can do it that way or this way. Okay. This way or this way. So after each of these have a print. Any questions regarding slicing? Question. Okay, so once we ran and we got it, we make sure that we have the correct output, screenshot, paste it to your document for lab 2. So open a new document and add it to lab 2. Okay, so now we learn how to do slicing. So you are gonna see a lot of string function in lab 2 because lab 1, I want to focus on numerical. In this one, you're gonna see a little bit more string manipulation using Python. Okay, so for number 2, we're gonna use Indianapolis. And we're gonna count up the number of eyes that's in Indianapolis. Okay, we're gonna use the count method. Count is really cool. It actually automates a lot of things for us. Right? Instead of manually do it, you're gonna tell the system to do that. Okay. So if you finish with the first exercise for lab 2, open up another document in editor and you are going to write the next program. 2 lines. So we're gonna have state name that's given to us and it's Indianapolis. And we want to print out, so count is similar to what you've seen in the other method. It actually, you cannot pass the variable inside the parameter, but inside the parameter, you're gonna tell it what it's counting. So I want to count up the lowercase I, okay, from this string, Indianapolis. Now it's going to tell you 2 because lowercase I is different than uppercase I. Using ASCII value, it's different value, right? So upper letter is different than lowercase letter for the computer. Okay, so when I run this, it's going to tell me that there's 2 I in Indianapolis. right? This is for fun, so I can say state is California. And I can print state dot count A. It's also 2 because I have 2 A's, right? 2 I's in California and so on. Now, if I change this up and I put C, it's going to tell me 1 for California. So you can do it where if you have a very large string, you can tell it to count up whichever letter that you want. Okay. So in our exercise, this one is what we need. We're going to count up the I in Indianapolis. A lot of my students, if they're not familiar with ASCII, because so text is encoded with ASCII or UTF-8 or some form of encoding system. And the computer treat capital value is a capital letter with a different value than a lowercase letter. Okay, so that's how it can distinguish between uppercase and lowercase. So that's why, you know, when you type in your password, it's case sensitive, right? If you type in all lowercase and you're supposed to have uppercase, and it's gonna know that it's wrong. Okay, any questions? Pretty easy. And that was for number 2. So you simply define your string variable, assign it the string, print, and remember when you're using count, you're going to bring down the variable and you're going to use the dot operator, and then you use the count function and put in the character inside the quotation mark that you're counting. Okay. All right. Let me close. Let me go to this one. Okay, do one more and then I'll call it a day, and I'll help you if you missed anything from today or yesterday. Okay, so I'll hang around until about 8. For number 3, I'm gonna do replacement of string. So I can slice it and then I would take out a certain letter. And this is really good if you want to write a program for like correction. Let's say that I want to make a program where it reads a document and it's going to take out, you know, a certain name in that document and then replace it with another name. I can have it automated that way. So you're going to do a simple string and we're going to replace it, a word with another word. So for number 3, it tells you to write a program. It says the string is I'm a college student, and we're going to replace the word college with CIS. Okay, so that means that we're going to declare a variable, put the string to a variable, use the replace function, and then pass the value. Okay, so here it is. Open up a new document, and we're going to do number 3. So I have a variable called my string, or you can name it anything you want. So in my case, I put my str, and I would assign it, I'm a college student. I wanted to print this to show you the original string. And then after that, I'm going to have another variable called new str. And just like count, when you use replace, you're going to use the variable name and the dot. So what it's saying, it is a property of, right? It's a property of this variable. So it's going to say my str dot replace. And inside, you're going to start with what you're replacing. And the second parameter is what you're replacing with, right? The new word that you want to replace. is the second part of that parameter. And you're gonna print the updated string here. Okay. I like to store things into my variables so that way it doesn't lose the value over time. But you don't have to, you can simply nest it inside the print. Sometimes that works, sometimes it cannot reference the location because it goes into temporary memory. So, okay. So it tells me that the original string is I am a college student. And then we replace that, I am a CIS student. And you can change CIS to like psychology, biology, math, whatever you like there, but you get the idea. So when you change it, it can go and look for, so simply replace is a pseudo function. That means that it has a built-in mechanism to search. So when it finds whatever that part of the string college is, right? And then it's gonna replace it. It's gonna swap it out. So why is this useful, right? Like I said before, you can autocorrect with this. Okay, you can do a lot of things. You can fix things, you can modify things. Especially like replacing value. Let's say that you update inventory and you want to search for, specific value and change it from 50 to 100. So you can make it very fast in a few lines. Programming is beautiful in that it saves the human a lot of work. We can let the machine do the work for us. Okay, so I will let you save your work right now, right? And then tomorrow I will get you to continue to work on lab 2. So if you come in, I can help you. Or if you can't come in, you can attend via Zoom, but let me take attendance. So I'm going to stop the recording.